Hello and welcome to the magic of mindfulness. To date, we have talked about cortisol and have seen the first 3 natural and absolutely free biological tools to master it, as demonstrated by cutting-edge science, mindful walking, mindful breathing, and reprogramming the subconscious through the intentional use of positive affirmations. We have seen how to incorporate them into daily life, automatically lowering cortisol levels, one of our worst enemies. Consequently, how to strengthen the immune system, positively influence vital organs, bones, cells, the vagus nerve, even brain cells, DNA genes, and the DNA sequence of the DNA itself, with a consequent slowing down of psychophysical wear and tear, and, as a result, achieve more health and well-being throughout life, as cutting-edge sciences show us, which I have put all together on my channel and explain in a very simple way. But today, however, we must address the second half of the trap, and we are talking about fluoride. Because if cortisol is the alarm that wears us down from the inside, fluoride is the chemical agent that shuts down our brain's command center. As we already know, modern sciences have shown that cortisol and fluoride create a deadly cocktail, and together are the real determining factor of malaise worldwide. They are the primary cause of almost all modern physical and mental disorders, with a few exceptions. And I always repeat to you, hereditary genetic mutations, chemical poisoning, and accidental physical trauma. Otherwise, for all other pathologies, the primary cause is excess fluoride and cortisol in the body. However, even regarding the latter, that is to say accidental physical trauma, if there were less cortisol, the brain would be more focused, there would be more attention, and perhaps many could be avoided. But this has not yet been proven. It is only my personal opinion. Outside of these 3 cases, mass suffering arises from the homeostatic collapse caused by this toxic fluoride-cortisol combination, which destroys the immune system, negatively affects and gradually and constantly weakens bones and vital organs, creates a dysfunction of the vagus nerve, negatively affects all cells, including brain cells, genes, and the sequence of DNA itself, and ignites the wear and tear of the organism from a tender age, from birth. The fluoride-cortisol cocktail makes almost the entire world population operate, I always remind you, at only 15 to 20% of their biological potential, and consequently, malaise during life is inevitable, as is an old age of suffering that we have accepted as a normal absolute truth, but which is not normal at all. We consider it normal only because it affects almost the entire world population, because we grew up like this. We grew up with a grandmother who had illnesses, with an aunt who was older who had illnesses. We grew up like this and we consider it normal. We believe that the aging process, illness, and malaise in old age are normal, but modern science shows us that they are not. We are all focused only on treating the symptoms and not on the determining factors of general malaise, of the primary cause, which is fluoride and cortisol. We are not aware of it. And I must remind you that at this very moment, we are facing 15 billion pathologies, just as we examined in the first video. On average, that is 3 distinct pathologies for every single person in the global population between the ages of 30 and 80. This is all due to what is now defined as a silent pandemic, the fluoride-cortisol pandemic, which, in my professional opinion, is the greatest health crisis that has ever struck humanity. In simple, straightforward terms, it literally eats the human organism from the inside out, keeping the vast majority of the population trapped in a constant state of survival mode. This makes the natural mode of regeneration, repair, and the essential maintenance of the organism itself almost impossible from a very early age, leading to disastrous consequences that we have unfortunately accepted as normal. Before revealing the scientific data to you, which as usual you can verify yourself by consulting the links in the video description or by doing independent research, I remind you that I am not a doctor, I am not a scientist, I am not a toxicologist, I am not a therapist. I am simply a person who is intelligent and sharp enough to have understood the mechanisms. This channel has a purely informative and educational purpose, based on my personal experience of rebirth and on international clinical studies, on the discoveries of modern science published on relevant international sites, one of which I have chosen for my channel is Science Direct. This video does not in any way replace the opinions, diagnoses, cures, therapies, and treatments of healthcare professionals, whom I always ask you to consult. I have simply understood the mechanisms. I have understood how the brain works. We have two possibilities. Either you are in survival mode or you are in regeneration mode. You cannot be in both. When you understand how it works, it's very simple. The studies have already been done. You just need to know how to apply these studies in your daily life. And it's so simple that it almost seems absurd. But if you start looking at the links and because I also asked myself, is it possible? It's impossible. And yet, study after study, and I've seen it in English, in German, in Italian, in Japanese, in Chinese, all over the world, they all say the same thing. If it's modern science, it's possible. But they must be wrong. It's not just one study. They started as early as the 70s, but for some reason, it's not talked about. I've never seen it on television, or maybe you have. If you've seen it, write it in the comments so maybe I can refresh my memory, because it seems like it to me, but I've never seen them either. I only ever see talk about how to treat the symptoms, but I've never heard it mentioned that cortisol fluoride is a primary cause, and it's been proven for a long time now. I understood the mechanisms, I followed the formulas. Negativity in all its forms equals cortisol plus fluoride equals survival mode equals malaise. So I trained myself to go into positivity equals serotonin minus fluoride equals regeneration mode, repair, natural maintenance of the organism, consequently equals well-being. And it is thanks to this formula that I have completely regenerated myself from chronic ailments and avoided disability retirement, and now I enjoy excellent health. And it was the best decision I could have ever made in my life. Modern science has shown that if an individual were able to live in a constant state of regeneration, repair, and natural maintenance of the organism, they would be able to regenerate in a few weeks and prevent the vast majority of physical and mental ailments, even chronic ones. I did it, and I want to share my experience, hoping that someone might benefit from it. Modern science, in fact, tells us that it is possible for everyone and at any age. It worked for me, and perhaps it will work for you too. Here too, the formula is very simple. Cutting-edge science has made the discoveries, important sites like Science Direct have published them, and the magic of awareness explains how to apply it in daily life exactly as I have done, and many other people in the world, and so many people I know, because I am not alone. We are a few million people who are aware of all this, but there are 8 billion of us in the world, and the vast majority of the population has no idea about any of this. Well, but what exactly is fluoride? Why is it so harmful? Modern independent science, official documents from academies, such as the legendary ones from the IAOMT, demonstrate beyond a shadow of a doubt that fluoride is absolutely not an essential nutrient, but a powerful neuroendocrine toxin. Due to a total collective lack of awareness, almost 100% of the world's population suffers from bioaccumulation of this substance from birth. We ingest it daily. It is in industrial toothpastes, and it has also been shown that brushing your teeth with alternatives to fluoride-free toothpastes, perhaps those containing hydroxyapatite, actually reduces the risk of cavities by quite a bit. We find it in dental floss, mouthwashes, modern pesticides, and in bottled mineral water. In many countries around the world, it is added to the tap water that comes into homes. We also find it in many commercial baby foods, such as homogenized cereals for infants sold to children, and even in powdered formula for newborns, sold in pharmacies and supermarkets. And independent clinical research reports have shown that most brands of artificial milk do not declare their fluoride levels on the label at all, which is honestly quite shocking from my point of view. Frankly, I believe that this kind of omission simply shouldn't be allowed. And furthermore, if this powdered milk containing fluoride is prepared with tap water in countries where it is added on purpose, the fluoride intake instantly skyrockets beyond biological safety limits, exposing the newborn to the risk of fluorosis and developmental alterations. But what are we talking about here? Essential, my foot. What do you mean essential? Global databases also confirm a chilling reality. The food industry uses fluoridated water to produce low-cost industrial foods that we find, and I speak from personal experience, in our supermarkets in large quantities, and to water animals in intensive meat farms. Consequently, we ingest toxic cumulative doses every time we eat that we consume these products. In children who are given concentrated creams and whatnot by dentists, who, in my opinion, are not aware of this disaster. They follow a protocol and do it in good faith, thinking they are doing good. My dentist friend, for example, to whom I presented this research, had the courage to read, to do independent research, because it also takes courage to believe in something you have never heard of, but it is the pure truth and it is all documented. He immediately eliminated treatments with fluoridated products from his practice. Immediately. That is why I always say from birth and from a very young age, because from the moment we are born, we are exposed to the direct and indirect ingestion of fluoride. Furthermore, fluoride damages cognitive development, reduces IQ, and penetrates bone tissue, altering mineralization and exposing the body to fragility and premature osteoporosis. This is what modern science tells us, and this is nothing. This is just the appetizer of the damage that fluoride does to our body. The most devastating damage occurs in the geometric center of our brain, in an organ, a sacred organ that almost no one talks about, our pineal gland. The majority of the world's population, and I speak from personal experience as well, I discovered 2 years ago that I even had one. The pineal gland, scientifically called the epiphysis, is a tiny organ located exactly in the center of our brain, exactly in the middle between the two cerebral hemispheres, in the corridor, in the space between the two hemispheres, in fact. This small organ that almost no one knows exists, you for example, did you know you had a pineal gland? And if you did know, do you know why it is so incredibly important for the safety and health of our body? If not, I'll explain it to you right away. Its importance is vital for our body. It controls circadian rhythms and produces melatonin. Furthermore, having a healthy pineal gland is our only true natural shield against cortisol. When the pineal gland is functioning, it produces this melatonin, which has the following benefits for the body. It protects the immune system quite a bit, strengthens it significantly, prevents cardiovascular diseases, has a significant anti-atherosclerotic effect, regulates blood pressure, lowers cortisol levels in a completely natural way, reduces the cellular and cerebral aging process, strengthens bones by preventing osteoporosis, provides physical energy during the day, and facilitates deep sleep at night, allowing for the natural regeneration, repair, and maintenance of the body, which, if under the influence of cortisol, is impossible even at night. Furthermore, a healthy gland promotes intuition and homeostasis. When the pineal gland is healthy and maximizes melatonin secretion, it impeccably regulates neurotransmitters, stabilizes brainwaves, which I will talk about in another video, and increases mental clarity, concentration, and focused attention, what the ancients called intuition or inner vision. It corresponds to the maximum electrical efficiency of a brain that is no longer intoxicated and finally free from cortisol. Because modern science is rediscovering a ton of things that ancient peoples practiced, which we've heard it, consider absurd superstitions, nonsense. And yet, my friend, ancient peoples knew the biology of our human body much better than we do. And video after video you will also discover why. Because modern science, the curiosity of modern science has made some absolutely crazy discoveries that have changed my life, and I love modern science. Unfortunately, however, the pineal gland is located outside the blood-brain barrier and receives an intense blood flow. Fluoride has a fatal chemical attraction to this organ. In fact, all the fluoride that we unknowingly introduce into our body penetrates the gland, creates crystals, and calcifies it prematurely. The pineal gland is practically put out of commission by fluoride. It is literally turned into stone, preventing it from functioning and consequently preventing our body from reaping the benefits just listed, creating a gradual and constant dysfunction of the organism itself from birth. And we shouldn't be surprised then if illnesses, suffering, and pathologies are the order of the day from the moment we are born until we die. And this is a fact because we also have overcrowded hospitals. This is what modern science tells us and confirms without a shadow of a doubt. After years of research conducted on hundreds of people with cutting-edge machinery, all of which has been published on official websites relevant to the world of independent cutting-edge medicine, one of which is Science Direct, the vast majority of the non-global population doesn't even know they possess one. And this is very sad. We know the whole body down to the last little toe, what the bone is called, but almost no one knows about this pineal gland that is in the middle. And it is something incredible. Based on my personal experiences, asking around a bit for a long time to many people, I noticed that almost no one is aware of possessing such an important organ, even healthcare professionals. In fact, for decades, Western symptomatic medicine has considered, and in my opinion still considers, the pineal gland to be a simple evolutionary remnant, almost useless because it calcifies easily. In the last century, however, neuroendocrinology has rediscovered its vital and immune function, as we have already seen, and therefore, thanks to neuroendocrinology and all modern sciences for these incredible discoveries. For you perhaps, but for me, they have now become the absolute norm. What was it they said? I don't remember who. Madness will become normality, and what we call normality will one day become madness. And throughout history, we can find 10,000 examples that reflect this quote exactly. A large part of current healthcare personnel still ignores the link between fluoride bioaccumulation, premature calcification of the gland, and the systematic collapse of immune defenses, and consequently, the accelerated wear and tear of the organism. And mind you, mine is not an accusation pulled out of thin air. I myself, from personal experience a few weeks ago, had to almost argue with my daughter's dentist to prevent a fluoride treatment on her teeth. But it's not his fault, I want to be clear. It's not the fault of individual professionals, as already mentioned. The majority of healthcare personnel are totally unaware of the biological damage that fluoride causes to our organism and our pineal gland. For a very simple reason, it's logical. They aren't taught it in universities. And what isn't taught by the system cannot be passed on or applied in medical practices. To me, a whiter tooth cannot be worth the price of a petrified brain. And excuse me if that's not enough. The collective unawareness regarding the damage caused by the deadly cocktail of fluoride and cortisol is the true silent pandemic, which causes more or less 15 billion pathologies worldwide, keeping humanity stuck at 15 to 20% of its biological potential. Unawareness makes us accept malaise, the old age we know as normal, but which is not normal at all. It is not normal for our elderly to be devastated by physical ailments, dementia, and suffering that bring pain and distress to themselves and those around them, also raising cortisol levels in their loved ones. All of this is the mathematical outcome of an organism worn down by cortisol and petrified by fluoride. This is what cutting-edge science shows us. There is no doubt. It sounds like a movie, but it is the pure truth, proven, documented, published by official sites, by cutting-edge science, and told through the magic of awareness. Fortunately, however, modern science shows us that reversing this course is possible, exactly as I did, all in a natural and free way, like everything on my channel. The first step to eliminate the source of the poison is very simple. Do not use fluoride toothpaste, avoid bottled water. For example, for my home, I bought a filter and installed it directly on the tap. For 200 euros. I bought the filter and the whole apparatus. It took me 2 minutes to install. Every 6 months, I change the filter and I drink clean water, and you can feel the difference. I recommend it to you too. This way, we don't drink water from plastic, and not only do I no longer ingest fluoride, but also less microplastic. Then maybe eat fresh and non-industrial foods, natural and non-industrial drinks, consume quality meat. If you really want to eat it, maybe do it less often, so you nourish yourself, ingest less fluoride, and also produce less also less useless cortisol. Spend more time in sunlight, very important, maybe without sunglasses, so you also absorb more biophotons. There will also be a specific video on biophotons, sunglasses, sunscreen, and everything else. Strictly eliminate blue screens from phones, tablets, and TVs at least an hour before going to sleep to allow melatonin to activate. And finally, modern science also confirms that humming helps a lot to decalcify the pineal gland. You heard that right? Humming or making a buzzing sound creates acoustic vibrations that accelerate the process of decalcification of the gland. All by humming, eating well, walking, breathing, This is almost unbelievable, but it is the pure truth. Furthermore, I personally have used and still use 2 types of breathing. Modern science confirms its benefits. One emits stronger vibrations compared to humming, and not only that, it accelerates the process of decalcification, but it increases the production of nitric oxide by 15 times. As you have already learned what it is and the benefits it provides from the video on conscious breathing, it gives enormous benefits to our organism. And the other is compression breathing, with which we can pump spinal fluid from the bottom up. You know, our spine is full of spinal fluid. It starts from the brain and goes all the way down to the sacrum, all the way down to the tailbone, more or less, to the sacrum. By doing this breathing, this mechanical pump is created and the fluid pushes directly onto the pineal gland. It slowly breaks the crystals and it calcifies a bit more. All proven by modern science. The first is called bee breathing and the second is yoga mantra breathing. already used by ancient populations naturally, who in my opinion knew, and I confirm this and am increasingly convinced of it, the biology of our organism better than we do now. And I will show you properly in the next video. I will give you a demonstration of how it's done, otherwise this video would last an eternity. And I don't want to make videos longer than 25-30 minutes. This isn't circus esotericism. This is applied modern science. This is high-precision biological engineering. This is the magic of awareness. Because when you are aware of what hurts you and you act accordingly, my friend, you have no idea what modern science has discovered and proven. Because this is just the appetizer for everything. And I, video after video, will very, very gladly show it to you, and I love sharing these revolutionary discoveries. My friend, my dear friend, what I have published up until now, as I said, is almost nothing. Video after video, I will show you the incredible discoveries that I myself have applied to my own life, and you cannot imagine what the human organism is capable of when your brain is free from cortisol and your pineal gland is functioning. And now I want to express a sincerely personal opinion. But I ask myself, in the face of all this evidence, clinical studies published in global databases, replicated in all parts of the world, which confirm every word of what I say, without a shadow of a doubt, a question arises for me. Why is this news not being disseminated? Why is fluoride still permitted in such large quantities if modern science documents its toxicity with absolute certainty and without a shadow of a doubt? In my humble opinion, and this is just my personal opinion that I express freely, if you look at the markets and the balance sheets of multinational corporations, it becomes evident that a multi-billion-dollar conflict of interest exists. There is a gigantic turnover that revolves around the management of chronic diseases and symptoms. A conscious humanity that eliminates fluoride, decalcifies its pineal gland, lowers cortisol levels at zero cost, and lives predominantly in regeneration, repair, maintenance, and wellness mode. In a way where malaise and suffering are no longer the rule but a rare exception, simply by walking, breathing, using positive affirmations, and doing some yoga exercises that I will show you later on how to cleanse the lymphatic system. Just by changing one's habits a little and humming from the couch, it is a humanity that awakens, that has an unstoppable natural energy, and is no longer dependent on the pharmaceutical system. It seems to me that they don't want us at 100% because a healthy body does not generate profit. This is my personal opinion because this research has existed for a lifetime. Anyway, this is just my personal opinion that I can express freely. Modern science proves everything I have said. My friend, let's reclaim our original biology. We are perfect biological machines. We have just forgotten it because we are flawed by cortisol and fluoride, which make us operate at 20% maximum of our biological potential. Let's awaken our awareness. Feel free to write in the comments what you think. I would love to hear your opinion. Share this video, share my channel or others like it with everyone you know. These discoveries are the evolution of the human race, and it is right that all normal people are aware of them. I personally feel regenerated. I feel as if I have woken up from a bad dream. I eat once a day and sleep 4 or 5 hours a night at most, and I know people who only eat 3 times a week. Abnormal? Absurd? No, my friend. The abnormal is the normal. It is the normal that is abnormal. It just depends on the point of view. But one day normality will become madness, and madness will become normality. And I am 100% convinced of this. We must make the world aware of all this. This is only possible if we are united. You too must take part. Spread this awareness however you can to escape the greatest and most unprecedented pandemic that human history has ever known. We must do it for all present and future generations. And life and the way is only one, all together, all united with altruism, love, peace, serenity, tranquility, in silence, without stress, all together for a better world, all together towards the path of being a perfect biological machine. If you like this video, leave a like, subscribe, and follow me. It's free for you, but it's very important to me. Help the algorithm spread the channel. And if you want to support my independent mission, in the video description you will find a Buy Me a Coffee link. Click on it and you will know how to do it. This way I have less stress and can dedicate myself solely and exclusively to disseminating these cutting-edge discoveries, which show us that everyone can return to their natural state, that is, perfect biological machines, by eliminating excess fluoride and cortisol from the body. And it's very easy, you just need to know how to do it. I thank you for your time and your energy. See you in the next video. As always, it's a pleasure, and don't forget, share, share, share. Everyone needs to know. Bye.